The episode opens at Dubai Airport with Sam getting ready to board his flight to London. Meanwhile, Alec is running extremely late for the same flight. But just as he arrives, a gate agent named Neela calls him over for security check so he can make it on time. However, when he reaches the gate, he finds it already closed. The agent tells him it's too late and he won't be able to board. Alec panics and begs her to let him through because he has to travel, but she refuses at first. Sam notices what's happening and steps in to help convince the agent to let Alec aboard since the plane hasn't moved yet. She eventually agrees and both of them make it to the aircraft, heading to their seats. Captain Robin welcomes everyone and informs the passengers the flight will be about 6 hours until they. And in London, the plane takes off and the flight attendants begin the usual safety demonstration. Sam, meanwhile, is texting his ex-wife Marcia. He's annoyed by the guy sitting next to him, Hugo, who has his phone volume ridiculously loud. Sam politely asks him to turn it down. Marcia receives Sam's message, but completely ignores it as she is with her boyfriend Daniel at the moment. If Hugo tries to make conversation and tells Sam he works in marketing, but Sam shuts him down and asks him to put on a movie so he can enjoy the flight peacefully. Hugo gets embarrassed and apologizes. A little girl named Naomi heads to the restroom and while she's inside, she notices a bullet lying on the floor. Terrified, she quickly returns to her seat and shows it to her friends, who also begin to panic. Silently, Marcus, one of the passengers, walks by and notices Naomi looking terrified. He asks her what's wrong, so she shows him the bullet she found. He tells her not to say a word to anyone and promises he'll report it to the flight crew himself. Marcus then heads to a flight attendant named Divya and asks to go up to business class, claiming needs to talk to a relative. She refuses, reminding him that passengers can't wander around the plane like that. But Marcus insists and slips past her anyway. He approaches a man named Stuart and quietly tells him that a bullet has fallen out of someone from the group. And that's when we realized there's a dangerous hijacking team on this flight, preparing for a major operation. Stuart sails Marcus. He's going to put on the green cap, a signal for the rest of their team that it's time to move the plan forward. He orders Marcus to go back to the girl and her friends and reassure them. Tell them the crew handled it. Anything to keep them calm and prevent them from talking to anyone else. Sam notices the tension in their conversation from a distance, sensing something is definitely off. Marcus returns to Naomi and tells her everything is fine. The crew said the bullet belongs to a soldier on board and must have fallen out while he was in the restroom. Naomi seems slightly relieved, but her friend Muna doesn't buy it at all. She says it's impossible. No passenger is ever allowed to carry a weapon on a plane, soldier or not. Marcus gets annoyed and walks away. Mona decides he's calling a flight attendant herself to get real answers. Meanwhile, Stuart gets out of his seat again, only this time he's holding a bag. Sam immediately notices the bag in Stuart's hands. He heads to a flight attendant and asks if the crew has been handing out any bags to the passengers. She looks confused and tells him no, nothing has been distributed yet. Sam thanks her and starts walking down the aisle, keeping his eyes on the passengers. That's when he sees several people carrying the exact same bag Stuart has. His suspicion grows and then suddenly one of them, a woman named Jamie, stands up, pulls out a gun, and threatens everyone on board. Sam quickly slips into an empty seat as all the hijackers reveal themselves one by one, armed and ready. Panic spreads through the cabin. People are screaming, crying, frozen in fear. Divya, the flight attendant, tries to sneak toward the cockpit to warn the captain and alert air traffic control. But Stuart is already waiting for her with a gun pointed right at her head. Jamie warns everyone if she sees anyone move from their seat, she'll take them out on the spot at the same time. Another hijacker, Jaden, is shouting orders in Arabic, scaring the passengers even more. Two guys whisper to each other. One assumes the hijackers must be Arab terrorists, but the other hesitates, pointing out that the woman leading them speaks perfect English and doesn't even look Middle Eastern. Sam overhears them but stays focused. He turns to the woman sitting next to him, who's crying uncontrollably and gently asks her name. She whispers Amanda. Meanwhile, back at Dubai Airport, Neela receives a frantic call from her husband Sal, who sounds completely unstable and begs her to come home right now. Back on the plane, First Officer Anna tries to reach any of the flight attendants, but no one responds. Suddenly, Arthur, one of the crew, numbers, hears the cabin phone ringing. He quietly answers and explains to Anna what's happening, but Jamie catches him and threatens to shoot. Arthur immediately hangs up the phone and raises his hand slowly. Anna informs Captain Robin about everything Arthur just told her. Suddenly, they both spot Stuart standing right outside the cockpit door, aiming a gun directly at them. They contact Dubai Airport to report the hijacking, but meanwhile another hijacker named Lewis starts collecting all the passengers' phones. Stuart approaches a flight attendant named Colette and orders her to speak to the captain and make him open the cockpit door. At first Anna answers, but the hijackers insist they want to speak to Robin when he talks to them. Robin refuses to open the door until Stuart starts threatening Colette's life. Not only that, He reveals that he knows a personal secret. Robin and Colette are having an affair. Robin freezes. Shocked that they somehow know everything about him, Colette begs Robin to open the door before they kill her. He's torn, panicking, and doesn't know what to do until he finally breaks. When Robin goes to unlock the door, Anna desperately tries to stop him. She fights him, begging him not to open it, but Robin forcefully pushes her back, hitting her just to get her off him with one final move. He opens the cockpit door. Stuart rushes inside with Colette, pointing the gun at Robin and forcing him to call Dubai Airport again. This time, Robin tells them everything is fine and that the earlier hijacking report was a misunderstanding. The control center is confused, but Robin continues, insisting that nothing is wrong aboard the aircraft. Meanwhile, Sam still has his phone. He quickly sends a message to his ex-wife Marsha, telling her the plane has been hijacked and armed terrorists are on board. Right after that, Robin, following the hijacker's orders, disables the Wi-Fi system. Still, the message manages to go through. Marsha reads it and panics, rushing to their son Kai to tell him what Sam just sent her. Daniel, her current boyfriend, who turns out to be a detective, asks what Sam does for a living and why terrorists would hijack a plane with him on it. They tell Daniel that Sam is a professional negotiator. The guy companies hire when they need someone who can secure the best deals and close any negotiations successfully. Meanwhile, on the plane, Sam approaches Stuart and tells him he doesn't care about anyone on board. All he wants is to get home safely to his family. He offers to help the hijackers, pretending he's willing to join them. If it means survival, Stuart sits with him but clearly doesn't trust a word he says. When he checks Sam's passport, he becomes even more suspicious. He orders Jamie to take Sam back to his seat and forces him to unlock his phone so she can check his messages. Sam hands over the phone and we discover he already deleted the message he sent to Marsha, fully expecting they would inspect his phone. Just then, two passengers suddenly attacked one of the hijackers and managed to knock his gun to the floor. Chaos erupts. Everyone starts rushing toward the fight, including Sam. He spots the gun, grabs it, but instead of using it, he hands it directly to Stuart, trying to gain his trust even further. When Sam returns to his seat, he tries talking to Hugo again, but Hugo refuses to even look at him. Convinced Sam is now working with the terrorists back in London, Daniel calls Zara, one of his colleagues who works in counter-terrorism, and asks her for help. He gives her the flight number and tells her everything he knows so far. On the plane, Sam tears out a page from the magazine and writes a message to Stuart. When Stuart opens it, he reads the captain is not the problem. Confused, he demands Sam explain himself. Sam tells him that the plane can fly on autopilot, they don't really need the captain, so Robin isn't any kind of threat to them at all. Stuart checks Sam's claim for himself and forces Robin to explain everything. Then he comes out of the cockpit and seats the captain back among the passengers while Sam sits down and pretends to be playing video games on the screen. Only we discover the game can be played with another passenger and Sam deliberately picks the seat Robin is in so they can play together, using the in-game chat to talk. And through that chat, Sam learns they're now entering Iraqi airspace and that the Iraqi military will likely try to make contact with the aircraft. Meanwhile, Zara tells her colleagues trying to confirm the flight's identity. The aircraft is listed as Kingdom and they tell her they already received a warning from the plane, but the captain later called back saying it was a false alarm. Zara's friend reassures her the flight is fine, yet the Dubai air traffic controller remains uneasy and starts checking surveillance cameras to review who boarded this flight and then he notices Neela, the check-in agent, received a phone call and run away. Terrified, Daniel rings Marsha to calm her and to tell Kai everything was just a false report. Marsha explodes with anger, saying Sam always causes trouble, while Kai listens silently and back on board. As they cross into Iraqi airspace, the Iraqi military begins contacting them. Sam pressures them to respond immediately, warning that ignoring the calls could be treated as a security breach and put everyone at risk. Stuart orders Jamie to bring Anna so she can respond to the Iraqi Air Force, but Sam immediately tells them that the Iraqi military would never accept an answer from the first officer. They'd want the captain to speak to them directly. He warns that if the Iraqis feel threatened or unsure about the plane's identity, they'll scramble fighter jets and could shoot them down with missiles. Despite Sam's warning, Stuart insists Anna will answer. As soon as Anna responds to the call, the Iraqi military asks if she's the captain. She reluctantly claims she is telling them the aircraft's name, Kingdom. The Iraqi defense quickly pulls up all the data on the flight and discovers that the assigned captain's name is Robin Allen, meaning Anna is lying. She tells them Robin isn't in the cockpit right now and she's filling in for him. The Iraqi side then demands to speak with Robin immediately for security reasons. Robin refuses, refusing to move or speak. Sam tries to convince him, but he still refuses, so Sam threatens Colette's life, forcing Robin to comply. Robin finally steps up and identifies himself, giving his full name and date of birth when asked if the aircraft is safe. He tells them everything is under control and apologizes for the delayed response, claiming they were dealing with radio issues. The Iraqis buy it and allow the plane to proceed. But while standing there, Robin secretly presses a hidden switch without anyone noticing. Meanwhile, in London, Alice arrives late for her shift in the air traffic control center. She learns there was a hijack alert earlier. It was marked as a false alarm, so she decides to double-check everything herself. When Alice hears from her boss Simon that the captain reported they were in danger and that a passenger sent a message to his ex saying the plane is hijacked, she grows suspicious. This can't be a false alarm, especially because the plane's Wi-Fi was suddenly shut off. They checked the flight path and see it was veered slightly, confirming there's definitely something wrong. We later learned that the deviation happened because Robin pressed a hidden switch while standing up to leave a signal for air traffic control that they were in danger. Meanwhile, the Dubai air traffic officer goes to Neela's house and finds the front door unlocked and cleaning staff inside. He asks where the homeowners are. They say they're cleaning the upstairs, so he goes up and is horrified to find Neela and her husband dead in the bathroom. As he reacts, one of the cleaners turns on him and murders him as well. Alice calls Zara and tells her everything she's discovered. The Kingdom flight is in danger. Zara rushes to the counter-terrorism office and files an urgent alert. A plane and danger will land in London in about 8 hours and they must act now. Back on board, Sam overhears two passengers, Yusuf and Rashida, arguing. Another passenger explains that Rashida is fighting with her husband because he discovered the hijackers' guns are actually fake replicas. The man says loudly that he can tell the difference. He served in the Egyptian army and knows weapons. Well, Louis, one of the hijackers, warns them to keep their voices down. Sam, trying to calm the situation, tells the man the reason he was speaking loudly is because he wanted to contact his grandchildren. He felt his life might end and the others were trying to soothe him. After Louis walks away, Hugo quietly tells Sam that he's convinced the guns are fake. Earlier, when they fired shots, no one was hurt and there was no damage to the plane at all, which makes no sense. Sam tries to calm him down, insisting that no one would hijack a plane with fake weapons. Hugo decides to go to the restroom, pretending to feel sick inside. He pulls out a tissue and a pen, writes a message on it, and as he walks out, he drops the tissue near the passengers. So someone can find it, a woman picks it up and reads Hugo's note. The terrorists' guns are fake because the bullet fired earlier was never found. If anyone finds it, turn on the reading light as a sign. She starts searching the floor for the bullet, but Louis spots her and she quickly says she's just looking for her glasses. Jamie then storms over and yells at everyone, reminding them. No one moves from their seat. Hugo returns to Sam and explains what he did. Sam tells him that was reckless and extremely dangerous. The passenger couldn't find any bullet and didn't turn on the reading light, which only proves Hugo's theory the guns are fake. Just then, Stuart comes over and forces Rob into the cockpit again because the plane is entering Turkish airspace and the Turkish Air Force is calling them. Robin identifies himself, and the Turkish military immediately informs him the aircraft has deviated from its assigned route. Robin panics, terrified Stuart might realize what he's been trying to do, so he quickly tells them he'll correct the flight path right away. Meanwhile, one of the passengers, Nassar, starts feeling really sick. He has diabetes and needs his insulin. He asks Jaden if he can get his medication from his bag, but Jaden refuses and orders him to sit still, threatening him and everyone around with his gun. At the same time, the Counter-Terrorism Command Center gathers to assess all the evidence they have and decide their next move. Alice joins them via video call and explains how the aircraft's flight path is zigzagging rather than straight, a clear-coded signal from the pilot that they're in danger. Meanwhile on the plane, Robin continues communicating with Sam through the in-flight game chat, informing him he was forced to correct the aircraft's course. But when Stuart catches a glimpse of the screen, Robin quickly clears the message. Stuart becomes furious and punches him. Sam tries to step in, but Stuart threatens to kill him if he intervenes again. He then orders Jamie to shut down all passenger screens immediately while the hijackers are distracted. Flight attendant Arthur secretly approaches Sam and Hugo, telling them that earlier a young girl had found a bullet in the lavatory and tried to report it before everything escalated. Sam then asks the woman beside him to get users' attention. He wants Yusuf to draw 2 sketches, one of a real bullet and one of a fake round. Yusuf quickly sketches both. Now Sam needs a plan to get the drawings to Naomi. They can confirm what she saw when the flight attendants start distributing water. Sam discreetly passes the sketches to Divya, who hands them to Arthur, and Arthur manages to get them to Naomi. He tells her in a low voice, if the bullet she found matches the real one, do nothing, but if it matches the fake one, turn on the reading light. Naomi and her friends compare the drawings, and with wide eyes and shaking hands, they switch on their lights. Arthur returns to Sam and discreetly signals that the bullets are fake. Sam shares the news with Hugo, whispering everything just changed. Daniel calls Zara again, asking for the full passenger list of the Kingdom flight. He's convinced that once he checks the names, he'll find someone with a criminal record which could help identify the hijackers. Zara insists they're already doing that themselves, and that she can't send him any classified information. Later, Zara calls her friend Heidi to ask if she found anything useful on the passengers, but Heidi has nothing. No suspicious intel at all. Zara then makes a risky decision. She sends the classified passenger file to Daniel because she knows he's a skilled investigator and can help her faster than anyone. Not long after, Daniel calls back with a breakthrough. There are 5 names with no records in the National Civil Registry completely untraceable. Zara gathers the team and shows them the faces of those 5 ghosts, confirming these are their terrorists. Back on the plane, Nassar can't wait any longer. He opens his bag to get his uncle's insulin and Jaden immediately jumps on him, attacking violently. The whole cabin erupts into chaos, passengers screaming, struggling, panic taking over. Sam realizes this is the perfect moment for his plan. While everyone is distracted, he slips away, hides and ambushes Marcus. A brutal fight breaks out between the two. Marcus threatens him with a gun, but Sam boldly tells him they know the bullets are fake. Right then, Stuart loads real ammo into his pistol and shoots a woman, killing her instantly. Terror floods the cabin, screams everywhere. Stuart fires into the air and threatens to kill another hostage if anyone else dares move or speak. He orders Arthur to pick up the microphone and calm the passengers immediately or more people will die. Marcus forces Sam to tie his own hands and restrain himself. Right then, Stuart notices that the Romanian Air Force is contacting the plane since they've just entered Romanian airspace, warning that if the aircraft doesn't respond immediately, they will take severe action. Meanwhile, Jaden orders Nasser to clean up the mess first, then he can give his uncle the insulin. Back in London, Daniel officially joins Zara's task force and the UK Foreign Secretary Louise is present as well. The Romanian Foreign Minister calls Louise to inform her that a British plane is approaching their airspace and refusing to respond, which forces them to consider military engagement. On the plane, Louis is in serious pain, still bleeding from the stab wound Nasser gave him earlier. Flight attendant Divya tries to help, but Sam points out it's a stab injury and needs proper medical attention. Divya asks over the PA if there's a doctor on board, but no one answers. Sam offers help her because she can't treat the wound alone, and Louise reluctantly agrees. Moments later, Romanian fighter jets surround the Kingdom aircraft. They instruct the crew that if the plane cannot respond due to a radio malfunction, they must signal. Rock the wings, flashlights, anything to show compliance. The hijackers then order all passengers to close their window shades. Jamie turns to Stuart panicking, saying the jets might shoot them down, but Stuart dismisses her fear and insists a British airliner would never be attacked. That would escalate into full-on war. Elsewhere on the plane, Colette sits with Anna and the 2 pilots being held hostage. One of them tells Colette they must signal the fighter jets somehow or Romania might destroy the plane. If they believe it poses a threat to their country, Colette decides to take action. She gets up, takes a passenger seat, and opens the window shade so the Romanian fighter pilots can see inside the aircraft. It works. They immediately spot her and witness Jaden violently assaulting her, and they clearly see the weapon in his hand. Robin tries to convince Jamie to let him signal the jets so they don't fire missiles at the plane. She refuses. Then Stuart comes over and Robin warns him that the jets will attack. They get no response. That is a certainty. Stuart finally relents and allows Robin to try communicating, but Robin quickly discovers the radio system is damaged. Stuart had broken it earlier. Meanwhile, Sam is still with Louis, trying to slow the bleeding as Lewis's condition deteriorates rapidly. Lewis tells Sam to take his phone out of his pocket so he can call his mother one last time. Sam then notices the phone suddenly has internet connection. The data is still working. Sam dials Lewis's mother and Louis speaks to her with tears in his eyes, saying goodbye, telling her he'll never see her again, that he loves her so much, and his breathing becomes weaker with every word. Marcus searches for medication to help Louis and Jaden tells him to try the passengers dressed in white, assuming they're Arab and might have medicine, but all they have is insulin. Marcus then stands in the aisle and begs everyone for any kind of painkiller or sedative, but nobody responds. Terrified of the hijackers, he snaps, screaming at them, threatening, and the entire cabin falls deeper into fear. At that exact moment, Marsha receives a message from an unknown number. We then realized Sam recorded a voice message for her, letting her hear what's happening with Lewis, hoping she'll understand that he truly is in danger. Marsha calls Daniel and tells him everything. Daniel asks her to send the recording immediately. He takes it to Zara. and the rest of the team. And by tracing the phone number, they pull up information about Louis. They discover that all 5 hijackers are actually British nationals. Zara uses that intel to notify Romania's interior minister, and they realize Britain, not Romania, is the target. Back on the plane, Sam keeps calling for a doctor. A passenger named David stands up. He's a doctor and rushes to help. Outside, the fighter jets are preparing to fire missiles at the kingdom, but a last-minute order from the minister calls them off. When Marcia returns home, she finds Kai has left the house. Meanwhile, an unknown man hands Romania's interior minister a sealed envelope containing the terrorist demands. The minister tells his aide to call Louise, the UK Foreign Secretary, at once on board. Stuart orders everyone to sit back down and stay away from Lewis. After Sam returns to his seat, he sketches the Hungarian flag and shows it to Hugo, signaling he has a plan that could get them out of this. At the Romanian Interior Ministry, the aide reviews security footage from the location where the envelope was delivered to identify who handed it over at the counter-terrorism office. They read the demands aloud. The hijackers insist Britain free Edgar and John, 2 men jailed in a major weapons case and labelled extremely dangerous criminals. And they warned that if their demands aren't met, they will kill everyone on the plane. On the plane, Sam tries to convince Stuart that they must land in the next country, Hungary, to save Louis' life because he's running out of time. Sam also mentions he now knows Stuart and Louis are brothers. Stuart says the doctor claimed Louis was stable, but Sam argues the doctor only said that out of fear. The truth is, Louis won't survive the rest of the journey. He has less than an hour left. Stuart threatens that if Sam is lying, he'll kill a passenger. He marches over to David, the doctor. To confirm the diagnosis, Sam quickly rushes to Divya and tells her to contact David immediately and instruct him to say less than an hour. She does, and when Stuart walks in and asks the doctor directly, David confirms it. Stuart realizes Sam wasn't lying. He returns to Jamie and tells her they're landing in Hungary. Jamie strongly objects, saying it's far too risky, but Stuart makes the call. Sam then approaches Anna and asks if she speaks Hungarian. She says she can, but assures him most Hungarians speak English anyway. Sam explains he needs her to convince Hungarian authorities to allow them to land and make it clear there are criminals on board, so they take the threat seriously. He brings Anna to the cockpit with Stuart and Robin so she can be briefed on exactly what to say. She then demands Robin be removed from the cockpit. She refuses to share a room with him. Anna contacts the Hungarian air control and requests emergency landing clearance, telling them they have a critically injured passenger who needs medical care. She promises they will depart again immediately after. Throughout the call, Jamie's eyes stay locked on Anna, deeply suspicious of her intentions. Jamie tells Anna to continue in English so Hungarian authorities can fully understand the situation. As the plane begins its descent, Marcus rushes to Stuart, warning him they can't land. This would change the entire plan. If their bosses find out, there will be severe consequences. He begs Stuart to reverse the decision, insisting Louis stable now and no longer needs medical attention. Sam steps in, trying to calm Marcus down, but Marcus panics and reveals something shocking. If the plane lands, their families will be killed. Sam freezes, asking what their families have to do with any of this. Marcus admits their bosses took their passports and threatened their loved ones. That's why none of them can deviate from the original plan, not even slightly. Sam rushes to Stuart and tells him landing must be cancelled and Stuart should hear it from Louis himself. But when Stuart goes to check on his brother, Louis is already dead. Sam immediately contacts Divya, instructing her to inform the cockpit about the landing. Meanwhile, Daniel manages to track down Louis and Stuart's mother. She reveals that if she tells them who her sons are working for, she'll be killed. She's being watched and hunted by dangerous people. She excuses herself, saying she needs a tissue. But Daniel realizes too late she's trying to escape. She throws herself into the street, killing herself rather than betray whoever is behind the hijacking. Back in Dubai, neighbors report Neela missing after cleaners were seen leaving her home suspiciously. Police stormed the house and the disturbing details quickly hit the news. The counter-terrorism unit sees the photos of the murdered victims. At that same moment, Kai is at his father Sam's home when suddenly armed cleaners break in holding guns. The armed men tear through the house searching for Kai, but he manages to hide just in time. Meanwhile, the government agrees to release Edgar and John. A car is waiting outside the prison. Pick them you, Edgar warns the prison warden. If anyone follows them, every passenger on that plane will die. Unknown to them, the car has a tracker installed. Counter-terrorism command is secretly monitoring their route. They also deploy 3 surveillance vehicles to keep eyes on them, one of which is Daniel's. But Edgar quickly realizes they're being tailed. He abruptly stops in the middle of the road, walks directly to Daniel and hands him a phone. Edgar speaks on that phone and makes it clear if anyone continues to follow them, the passengers on the plane will be executed. Command responds by launching drones to track Edgar and John from the sky instead. Back on the plane, Stuart receives a message from Edgar ordering him to kill another passenger and send photographic proof. He informs Jamie and they choose Divya as the next victim. They sneak up behind her, planning to strangle her, but Sam catches them in the act. He steps in and says there's no need to kill anyone else. Stuart already killed a passenger. They move to the woman's corpse, and Jamie orders Sam to sit the body upright and place a note on her with the plane's name. Colette takes a picture of the. 15 seconds later, Edgar calls Daniel and coldly tells him he's about to prove his threats were real. Since Daniel insists on continuing surveillance, he hangs up and sends the picture taken aboard the aircraft. Daniel is horrified. He forwards the image to Zara, who shows it to the entire team. Shock and panic wash over the room. The hijackers are deadly serious. Sam speaks quietly with Hugo, worried they'll be forced to stage another corpse photo, which would mean anyone could be next. They agree they need a plan to take control of the plane and save themselves. Sam slips Hugo's hand into his pocket, and Hugo secretly pulls out a pair of scissors he'd swiped from the first aid kit. Amid the chaos, Hugo uses the scissors to start freeing his bound hands. And when Stuart walks by, they quickly hide the tool and make it look like Hugo's still restrained, while Sam keeps his own hands tucked away. Meanwhile, journalist Felix meets a man named Devlin at an empty bar. Devlin tells him to run a story claiming Kingdom Airlines stock has crashed and to publish it within 30 minutes. If Felix refuses, Devlin threatens to expose him as a paid peddler. Scandal Devlin then calls Edgar to confirm the job is done. Edgar phones Daniel and reports the route is blocked. The road ahead is full of police. It's clear Edgar ordered the obstruction to delay any tailing vehicles until the plane lands. He warns that as long as people keep following them, he will start killing passengers. Daniel tries to reason with him, but Edgar slams the line shut. Annual urgently calls Zara, begging her to pull the police off the road and let Edgar pass because lives on the plane are at stake. Back on board, Sam scribbles a short message on a juice carton and slips it into circulation among the passengers. The note calls for unity. They must band together and fight to protect themselves if they hope to survive the hijackers. But Jaden notices the notes and grabs a juice carton, handing it to Jamie. She shows it to Stuart, who immediately suspects Hugo. He'd seen the pen with him earlier. Stuart opens the new message from Edgar ordering another passenger killed and points at the note. The next victim will be that man. Sam stands up and insists it wasn't Hugo. He shows Stuart the pen in his own hand as proof at the counter. Terrorism office, a fierce argument erupts between Louise and Neil. Louise wants the police to stand down and comply with Edgar's demands to protect the passengers' lives, but Neil insists they must strike. These are dangerous criminals and they can't just let them escape. When Neil orders the police to raid Edgar's car as it arrives at the airport, they find the vehicle empty. Edgar and John have tricked the police and switched to another car. Back at Sam's house, Kai finds a landline hidden under the bed and tries to use it to call for help, but is too scared to speak with the armed intruders nearby. He presses the emergency number anyway, and the operator understands there's a threat on the plane. Things spiral out of control. Sam lunges at Stuart and knocks him down, causing the gun to fall. Sam reaches for it, but Stuart stops him. The weapon discharges and a bullet hits Arthur's leg. Arthur screams in pain. Suddenly Amanda heads to the lavatory. We see her prepare. She has a gun when she comes out. She shoots Captain Robin, then storms into the cockpit and locks the door behind her. Amanda sits in the captain's seat and begins working the controls. It's clear she knows what she's doing and is a skilled pilot. Sam asks Stuart whether Amanda is one of them. Stuart swears he's never seen her before. The passengers managed to unite and overpower several members of the gang. They tied them up and seized their weapons. Sam grabs Stuart's pistol and tries to calm everyone down. When they check the gun Sam took, they find it's the only one, loaded with live rounds, which means there's a far bigger problem now and they need a plan fast. Sam asks Jamie to go into the cockpit and talk to Amanda to let her know the passengers have taken back control of the cabin. Jamie refuses. She says Amanda is clearly following a backup plan and they don't know her or what she intends to do. Anna goes to fetch her bag, and the others learn she has a little girl. Sam decides to use the child as leverage and tries to pressure Amanda through Anna's daughter. But Amanda suddenly severs the phone line. The passengers then notice the aircraft has changed course. Alice alerts the counter-terrorism unit Kingdom has altered its route. Daniel calls Marsha to check on her and Kai. She tells him Kai went to his father's house. Daniel jumps in his car and races off. He knows Kai could be in danger. At Sam's house, emergency police arrive and ring the bell. One of the gunmen opens the door and pretends to be a cleaner. The officer believes him and leaves, thinking it was a false alarm. Meanwhile, the second gunman spots Kai and points a gun at him. Back in the sky, the passengers see fighter jets circling the aircraft. Jets that were ordered to surround them by Neil. He coldly tells Louise that killing 200 people on the plane now would be better than letting the aircraft crash or explode over London and killing many more. Louise replies that this isn't her decision. The Prime Minister must decide. All the passengers demand their phones back and ask Stuart where he hid them. He refuses. Because the moment they contact the outside world and reveal that a rogue pilot is now in control, the military will shoot the plane down. Anna spots the bag with the collected phones and they soon notice one of them ringing. Sam answers it's Alice from air traffic control. They managed to reach a number belonging to one of the passengers. She asks to speak with the captain, but Sam lies and says the pilot was injured and unable to respond. That Anna, the first officer, is the one flying the plane. He doesn't want Alice to know someone unknown has taken the cockpit. Alice pushes back. She doesn't believe him and demands the truth if she's going to help them. Sam finally admits a woman named Amanda has seized control, shot Captain Robin and locked herself inside meanwhile. Neil is pushing hard for missile authorization. Louise refuses, telling him she will not be part of murdering innocent British citizens. Neil argues it's not murder, it's protecting the country from a catastrophic attack. Louise calls the Prime Minister and pleads with her to call off the strike, saying she'll accept all the consequences, but they cannot shoot down their own people. Prime Minister agrees and orders the fighter jets to stand down. The warplanes peel away from the Kingdom aircraft. Elsewhere, Edgar and John sit with a third man. Edgar watches Kingdom Airlines stock price plummet on his phone, almost enjoying it. Suddenly, John walks up to the third man with them and says the plan has changed. Without hesitation, he kills Edgar. Then he and John drive off together in a different car. Meanwhile, Daniel calls Kai on his phone, but one of the gunmen forces Kai to answer and pretend everything is fine. Kai tries to signal that he needs help by telling Daniel not to come and that he's going back home, and Daniel immediately understands that something is wrong. He contacts Zara and requests police backup. At Sam's house, Daniel arrives with the police just in time and rescues Kai. The gunmen are arrested. Back on the plane, the passengers find Amanda's phone. There's a picture of her daughter Woody on it. Sam tries to use the phone's camera to talk to Amanda and appeal to her through her child. The passengers start trying to break into the cockpit and Amanda calls her phone. Sam answers. Amanda reveals she has no choice. Her daughter is being held hostage, and if Amanda doesn't follow orders, her little girl will be killed. She explains she is waiting for a message confirming the deal has gone through. Then she will land the plane. But if no message comes, she will crash the aircraft into central London. Sam tells her Stuart admitted something terrifying. The criminals plan to kill her daughter. Either way, they can't risk leaving a witness. Live Amanda breaks down. The truth hits her hard, and she decides to trust Sam. She unlocks the cockpit only for him. Sam enters alone and begins coordinating with Alice to help guide them for landing. That's when they discover the fuel is critically low, dangerously close to running out. Sam needs Amanda to take the controls. She's a trained pilot, but Amanda is overwhelmed. Terrified, fully convinced she's heading to prison for killing Captain Robin, Sam urges Alice to guarantee Amanda protection. She killed under duress with a gun to her head. Neil joins the call. He has been listening the entire time and reassures Amanda that she will not be prosecuted. That promise finally gives her enough courage to help. She begins the landing procedure. Suddenly, the aircraft loses all power. Total blackout. Alice urgently instructs Amanda to activate the auxiliary power unit. The plane sharply dives. Passengers scream as terror fills the cabin. It feels like the end. In the chaos, Sam asks Alice to send Marsha a message. Tell her she was right. I shouldn't have taken the flight. The aircraft drops lower and lower, until it violently crashes onto the runway. Part of the fuselage breaks apart. Emergency vehicles rush in from every direction. Firefighters and medics swarm the wreckage, helping passengers escape the damaged plane. Amanda hugs Sam, thanking him for saving her and saving everyone. Police take the surviving hijackers into custody. Shocked and trembling, the passengers step off the plane. Barely believing they're alive, as Sam leaves, he suddenly remembers something and heads back into the aircraft. But Stuart slips inside and locks the doors behind them. Armed and furious, he threatens Sam with the gun. Sam hides, waits for the right moment, then attacks, overpowering Stuart. The police storm the aircraft and arrest him. Sam Nelson with his calm, mind-negotiating skills. The sheer bravery saved an entire plane and every soul on board. He doesn't want Alice to know someone unknown has taken the cockpit. Alice pushes back. She doesn't believe him and demands the truth if she's going to help them. Sam finally admits a woman named Amanda has seized control, shot Captain Robin and locked herself inside meanwhile. Neil is pushing hard for missile authorization. Louise refuses, telling him she will not be part of murdering innocent British citizens. Neil argues it's not murder, it's protecting the country from a catastrophic attack. Louise calls the Prime Minister and pleads with her to call off the strike, saying she'll accept all the consequences, but they cannot shoot down their own people. Prime Minister agrees and orders the fighter jets to stand down. The warplanes peel away from the Kingdom aircraft. Elsewhere, Edgar and John sit with a third man. Edgar watches Kingdom Airlines stock price plummet on his phone, almost enjoying it. Suddenly, John walks up to the third man with them and says the plan has changed. Without hesitation, he kills Edgar. Then he and John drive off together in a different car. Meanwhile, Daniel calls Kai on his phone, but one of the gunmen forces Kai to answer and pretend everything is fine. Kai tries to signal that he needs help by telling Daniel not to come and that he's going back home, and Daniel immediately understands that something is wrong. He contacts Zara and requests police backup. At Sam's house, Daniel arrives with the police just in time and rescues Kai. The gunmen are arrested. Back on the plane, the passengers find Amanda's phone. There's a picture of her daughter Woody on it. Sam tries to use the phone's camera to talk to Amanda and appeal to her through her child. The passengers start trying to break into the cockpit and Amanda calls her phone. Sam answers. Amanda reveals she has no choice. Her daughter is being held hostage, and if Amanda doesn't follow orders, her little girl will be killed. She explains she is waiting for a message confirming the deal has gone through. Then she will land the plane. But if no message comes, she will crash the aircraft into central London. Sam tells her Stuart admitted something terrifying. The criminals plan to kill her daughter. Either way, they can't risk leaving a witness. Live Amanda breaks down. The truth hits her hard, and she decides to trust Sam. She unlocks the cockpit only for him. Sam enters alone and begins coordinating with Alice to help guide them for landing. That's when they discover the fuel is critically low, dangerously close to running out. Sam needs Amanda to take the controls. She's a trained pilot, but Amanda is overwhelmed. Terrified, fully convinced she's heading to prison for killing Captain Robin, Sam urges Alice to guarantee Amanda protection. She killed under duress with a gun to her head. Neil joins the call. He has been listening the entire time and reassures Amanda that she will not be prosecuted. That promise finally gives her enough courage to help. She begins the landing procedure. Suddenly, the aircraft loses all power. Total blackout. Alice urgently instructs Amanda to activate the auxiliary power unit. The plane sharply dives. Passengers scream as terror fills the cabin. It feels like the end. In the chaos, Sam asks Alice to send Marsha a message. Tell her she was right. I shouldn't have taken the flight. The aircraft drops lower and lower, until it violently crashes onto the runway. Part of the fuselage breaks apart. Emergency vehicles rush in from every direction. Firefighters and medics swarmed the wreckage, helping passengers escape the damaged plane. Amanda hugs Sam, thanking him for saving her and saving everyone. Police take the surviving hijackers into custody. Shocked and trembling, the passengers step off the plane. Barely believing they're alive, as Sam leaves, he suddenly remembers something and heads back into the aircraft. But Stuart slips inside and locks the doors behind them. Armed and furious, he threatens Sam with the gun. Sam hides, waits for the right moment, then attacks, overpowering Stuart. The police stormed the aircraft and arrest him. Sam Nelson with his calm, mind-negotiating skills. The sheer bravery saved an entire plane and every soul on board. The series begins with a group of students celebrating their last day of high school. We learned that their school is located on a remote island, and the principal informs them that the last boat leaving the island will depart at 6 p.m. so everyone can get ready and head back home. We see a student named Joey walking over to his friend Cram, telling him that a group of their classmates decided to stay one extra day on the island because there will be a lunar eclipse that night. They plan to throw a graduation party and stay up to watch it together. Crum is happy about the idea and tells Joey he'll finish his shift at the restaurant and then join them at the party. When the party begins, the students are having fun dancing, drinking, and enjoying themselves. While Crum is sitting in a car with his father, who gives him a graduation gift, an old antique dagger. Crum is confused by the strange gift, but his father tells him that the dagger was left to him by Cron's real father, who asked him to pass it on. One day we learned that Crum was adopted years ago. Crum is surprised because his father had told him before that he never met his biological father, so the man explains that he recorded everything in a voice message he sent to Cram. Cram admits that he got busy with school and never listened to it. Suddenly, they both hear a loud noise in the distance, followed by a strong tremor. Moments later, they see the sea level rise rapidly toward them. Crum tries to drive away fast, but the water surrounds the car. His father hits his head, loses consciousness and eventually drowns as the flood takes over. 25 days pass after the tsunami and the island is shown in ruins. We find out that only 36 students survived, and since then they've been living off the fish that Cram catches from the sea every day. They divided the school classrooms among themselves, each living in a separate room still, wondering why no one has come to rescue them, especially since their families know exactly where the island is. Some of them begin to suspect that the tsunami might have hit the entire world and that their families might be dead. One student asks Cram how he's still alive even though the water surrounded his car and his father drowned beside him. Crum replies that he doesn't remember anything and has no idea. What happened that day? Then we see a girl named Arisa holding a bag containing all the students' phones trying to find a signal so they can contact someone, but she fails. She then talks to Joey and Anand, telling them they should be honest with everyone and admit that they haven't been able to find a signal anywhere on the island. Anand hesitates, afraid the truth will crush everyone's hope. Meanwhile, we see a girl named May who has some basic medical knowledge because she's passionate about the field and reads about it often. May is in the school's medical room trying to treat a boy named Jack, whose leg was injured during the tsunami and still hasn't healed. Sitting beside him is his friend Krit, who promises he won't leave until Jack gets better later. We see Jan, Jack's sister, thanking May and telling her that without her medical skills, Jack probably wouldn't have survived. After that, May heads back to continue reading her medical book from the school library. Cram sees May and she tells him she urgently needs antibiotics because Jack's leg is badly infected and could get worse. Cram assures her he'll handle it, and we learned that he knows the island better than anyone else because he was born and raised there. Meanwhile, a group of students finds a box that washed ashore and think it's full of video games. Arisa laughs and tells them it's actually a tape player, but it's broken. She says she'll try to fix it. Ice interrupts her, asking about his phone, so on, and finally admits that they still haven't found any signal anywhere. The other students start shouting angrily at him, but Joey steps in to calm everyone down. He asks them for just 5 more days and promises that if they don't find a signal by then, everyone will get their phones back. The group reluctantly agrees. Later, Cram and Joey head to the village chief's house, because Crum knows the place well and believes they'll find all the medicine they need there. As they search the house, they start talking and we find out that Crum has secretly liked May for a long time, but is too shy to tell her after collecting the medicine. As they're leaving, Joey notices a small boat stuck high up on a rock, likely carried there by the tsunami. He tells Cram this boat could be their last hope for getting off the island. The two climb the rock, try to bring the boat down, but Joey slips and falls hard, injuring himself. Cram quickly rushes him to May so she can treat him. Checking her medical book, May realizes Joey has a broken rib and that she needs to insert a needle to remove the air trapped in his lung. But it's her first time doing such a procedure, and she's terrified. Crum encourages May and tells her she's the only one who can help him. She hesitates for a moment, then approaches Joey to give him the injection, but tragically, his life ends before she can save him. Chrome breaks down, devastated by the death of his friend, while May is overwhelmed with guilt, blaming herself for what happened. Later, Crum goes to Anan and insists they need to work together to bring the boat down from the rocks, but on objects saying the nearest coast is over 100 kilometers away and the boat would never survive the trip. When Joey's funeral takes place, Anan uses the moment with everyone gathered to present Cron's idea about the boat, but claims it as his own. He tells the group that he's only thinking of their safety and wants to save them before it's too late. Crom is shocked and angered, realizing that Anan is jealous and desperate for attention, wanting everyone to trust and follow him instead. After the funeral, Arisa announces that there's no longer any hope of finding a signal, so Anan hands everyone their phones back so they can use whatever battery remains. Each student quietly scrolls through old photos of their families, their faces filled with longing and sadness. Wishing they could return home, Cram takes his phone and listens to the voice message his adoptive father mentioned before he died. In the message, his father begins revealing the truth about Cron's real origins and where he came from. But suddenly the phone dies, leaving Cram in confusion. Moments later, a powerful tremor shakes the island, followed by a deafening noise that causes everyone to panic. Cram loses consciousness and sees a vision of a woman standing at a distance holding a baby. He tries to move closer, but branches grow from the trees, wrapping tightly around him and strangling him. Then he wakes up suddenly to find Non beside him, assuring him it was just a nightmare. The next day, all the students gathered to discuss what happened the night before. Everyone tries to come up with theories until Nam interrupts, saying she feels there's something strange about the island and that none of what's happening is normal. Ice mocks her in front of everyone, telling her to go take a sedative and calm down. Feeling humiliated, Nom walks away, leaving them behind. Anan then talks to the group again, reminding them about what he said yesterday regarding the boat. He insists they need to bring it down from the rocks as soon as possible so they can sail home. Ice mocks him, saying he probably just can't survive without his mother since he always depended on her for everything. Anan looks embarrassed as memories of his past flashback. He was once the leader of his school orchestra and his father was strict and demanding, scolding him over the smallest mistakes. His mother, on the other hand, was kind and supportive, always encouraging him to pursue what he loved. Later, we see Ice and his girlfriend Yang swimming in the lake. We find out Yang isn't actually one of their classmates. She came to the island because Ice invited her to the graduation party. Suddenly, she notices something strange. The lake water begins to heat up until it's almost boiling. They rush back and tell the others what happened. Afterward, Yang goes to Arisa to get some ointment for her burns and finds her working on fixing the broken tape player they discovered earlier. we learned that Arissa is incredibly skilled with electronics and phones, to the point that most of her classmates used to see her as antisocial since she rarely interacted with them, which led to constant bullying. Meanwhile, Cram has a wound on his back and goes to May for treatment. She's nervous and hesitant because she's lost confidence in herself after Joey's death and still feels guilty. Cram comforts her, talking softly to ease her tension. He tells her about his life, how his father owned a boat and worked as a fisherman, and how he learned to fish from him. Back with Arissa and Ying, the two girls start bonding and become close friends, spending more time together on the island. Arissa finally manages to get the device working. The group finds a tape with it, so she plays it and they all listen carefully. Arissa guesses that it's a recording of a very old Thai poem. Yang suggests they go to the library to find the poem and confirm it. So they head there and actually locate it. They discover it's the same poem recorded on the tape, a story about a kingdom that fell into corruption before a massive flood destroyed everything. But Arissa notices something odd. The verses aren't in order, and they start wondering why. Meanwhile, the rest of the students use a long rope to successfully lower the boat on the rocks, but when they inspect it, they find a hole in the hull, meaning it will take time to fix, leaving everyone frustrated. Anon remembers the day of his orchestra performance, the one that failed and crushed his confidence, making him stop playing music ever since. Snapping back to the present, he notices how hopeless everyone looks, so he decides to play the piano again to give them strength. His music lifts the group's spirits, and for the first time in a while, they feel a bit of peace. During this, May sits beside him and we learn that they're in a relationship. Cram watches them from afar, clearly hurt because he secretly loves her. Suddenly, a strange woman appears in the distance, walking toward them weakly before collapsing unconscious when they rush to help. They're shocked to realize she's Lin, their teacher. They carry her to the school's infirmary and May stays by her side, confused as to how Lin is still alive when they've searched the island many times and found no one else. Later that night, May and Anan are together and end up getting intimate. Afterward, May opens up, telling him she's always dreamed of becoming a singer. Anan laughs softly and says it doesn't suit her at all. His words cut deep. May feels humiliated and heartbroken, so she quietly gets up and leaves him behind. The students gather again and Cram tells them that the boat can only carry 10 people, so they need to choose a small group to sail to the nearest coast and bring back help for the rest. May interrupts, insisting that Back must be one of the 10 because his condition is getting worse and none of the treatments are helping anymore. The others ask Chrome if he can captain the boat and he admits that while he watched his father steer boats, he's never actually sailed one himself. Anan seizes the moment to embarrass him and prove himself, lying to everyone and claiming he knows how to handle boats. The group agrees to let him lead, and they decide the remaining 8 people will be chosen by drawing lots. When they try to start the boat's engine, they're shocked to find it's broken, so they agree to turn it into a sailboat instead. Meanwhile, Ice is seen taking drugs, clearly upset about something. Nam passes by and senses he's hiding something, but he denies it and tells her to stay away. Later, Yang confronts him angrily, reminding him of the last time he used drugs and nearly died. I snaps at her and yells for her to leave him alone. Around the same time, Jan gathers her friends and asks everyone to donate their clothes so they can sew them together to make a sale. Most of them refuse, saying their clothes are expensive designer brands. Jan yells at them, then rips her own clothes to set an example. Eventually, everyone follows her lead and they start stitching their clothes together. While working, Arissa suggests that a few people should go help repair the boat, but one of the students mocks her, saying she only knows about phones and should just stay quiet. Hurt, Arissa walks away, feeling rejected and unappreciated. Ying notices what happened and goes after her to cheer. We're up. The two start discussing the strange poem they found and try to make sense of the numbered verses. Arissa realizes she's seen those numbers before and remembers that the school's location is at a latitude that matches the numbers in the poem. Ying guesses there might be a treasure buried beneath the school, but Arissa explains that the recording is over 100 years old while the school was built. Only 20 years ago. Then, Arissa recalls something Joey told her before he died, that there was once a wireless communication tower built on the island during World War II. Though no one has ever found it, she starts to think that the numbers might actually be coordinates for that tower. Determined, Arissa decides to go search for it alone, marking trees along the way, so she doesn't lose her path. Back at the camp, Jax's condition worsens, his infection spreading through his leg. That and no one can help him. In contrast, Lin starts to recover and slowly regains consciousness. May sits beside her and asks where she has been all this time, since no one had seen her since before the tsunami and everyone thought she had left the island. Lin explains that when the tsunami struck, she was deep in the forest and got lost, unable to find her way out. Just then, a group of students rushes in carrying Ice, who has collapsed after overdosing. While everyone focuses on him, Anan takes the opportunity to approach Lin. He tells her that if she wants to return to her villa, it's still standing. It's one of the few houses built on high ground, untouched by the water, and agrees, and Anan walks her there. When they arrive, she enters and shuts the door in his face. Meanwhile, Arisa keeps walking deeper into the forest, marking every tree she passes so she doesn't lose her way. As Arisa walks through the forest, she suddenly sees her friend Mint from school standing in front of her. She's shocked because Mint had said she was leaving for the party. Mint explains that she changed her mind at the last minute, didn't leave, and after the tsunami, she got lost in the forest and couldn't find her way out. She also tells Arisa that she isn't alone, there are more people with her, and that they've found the transmission tower. She claims that a rescue boat is coming for them in 3 days. Back at the infirmary, Ice begins to regain consciousness, and we learned that he has a heart condition and a pacemaker that needs to be replaced within a year. May advises him to start taking better care of himself, but Ice snaps at her and storms off. Meanwhile, Lin is sitting with Cram, looking at his sketches of the strange images he sees in his dreams. She tells him that these visions must mean something that he's seen then before, and urges him to remember where and what message they're trying to convey. Later, Ice goes to talk to Nam, telling her he's felt different ever since the tsunami and asking her to use her strange spiritual abilities to help him. Yang overhears their conversation, and together with Nam, they decide to prank him by pretending he's possessed by an evil spirit. Now Im tells him it can help, and they begin performing fake exorcism rituals on him. But things take a dark turn when Ice starts acting dazed and begins confessing what really happened. The day of the tsunami, he had accidentally hit a woman with his car on the way to the party. He wanted to turn himself in, but his father stopped him to protect his future. Since then, Ice has been consumed by guilt. Both Nam and Yang are stunned and feel terrible for mocking him. Nam tries to comfort him, assuring him that he's fine now and that the evil spirit has left his body. The next day, Lin learns that Arisa and Yang listened to the recording and managed to find the poem. She becomes visibly tense and immediately questions them, asking what exactly they discovered. Yang tells her they didn't figure out much, and that Arisa has been in the forest since then, searching for the transmission tower. Lin panics, grabs the recorder, and storms off. Nam and Ying are confused when they hear another part of the tape playing a section that mentions a mysterious cave on the island, one they've never seen before. Back in the forest, Arisa and Mint continue walking together, talking about their past. Teresa apologizes for hacking Mint's account before explaining that she only did it because Mint had stolen her boyfriend. Mint angrily yells back, saying her boyfriend cheated on Arisa willingly because no one can stand to be with her anyway. Mint's behavior suddenly becomes violent. She sprays something in Arisa's eyes, blinding her. Arisa screams for help, stumbling backward until she falls off a rock and injured her leg. After a while, she opens her eyes again and realizes it was all a hallucination. There was never anything on her face, and Mint doesn't exist at all. Back at the beach, Cram asks May to spend the day with him by the shore. They begin to open up to each other and he asks her to sing for him. May lights up with happiness. It's the first time someone has shown genuine interest in her talent. The two grow closer, and that night they share an intimate moment together, falling asleep under the stars. The next morning they return to camp, only to find out that Jack has died. Everyone is devastated. At the funeral later, May goes back to her room, still shaken. Anand confronts her, asking where she's been, saying he went to the clinic and didn't find her there. May grows nervous and lies, saying she wasn't feeling well and went to her room early. Anand realizes that May is lying to him because he went to her room that same night and she wasn't there either, but he decides not to confront her. May starts remembering her past, and we learned that she was once a popular girl who made money performing using her earnings to help her mother after her father stopped supporting them. Days pass as the students keep working on fixing the boat and stitching the sail. One day, Lin sends a message to Anand asking to meet him. When he arrives, she warns him not to let anyone leave the island, insisting that a huge storm is coming and that if they set sail, they'll all die and he will be responsible for their deaths. Anand is shocked by her words and refuses to listen, telling her this boat is their last hope and he won't give it up. He returns to the others and they begin the lottery to choose the 10 people who will go on the boat. Crum and Arisa are among the 10 selected. Anand says that if Arisa doesn't return from the forest before the day they leave, her spot will be given to someone else. Meanwhile, Lin grows desperate to stop the boat at any cost. She goes to Crit and tells him she knows the truth about what he did, that Jack didn't die naturally, but that Crit ended his life. Shocked, Crit tries to explain himself, saying Jack begged him to do it because he couldn't handle the pain anymore. Lin coldly warns him that if he doesn't stop the boat, she'll go to the authorities and expose him once they get off the island. Crom, feeling torn, decides to give up his spot on the boat for May. She thanks him for his kindness but refuses, telling him that he's the only one who truly understands the sea and must go to protect the group. She adds softly that she'll be waiting for him to come back and save her. Meanwhile, two students, Nat and Jan, decide to go into the forest to look for Arisa, though secretly they hope not to find her so her place on the boat will become available for one of them. Later, May confronts Anan and tells him they need to break up. She tries to explain that she no longer feels the same way, but he refuses to accept it, reminding her of the promises she made to him before he pressures her to stay with him at least until they get off the island. That night, Crit, haunted by guilt and Lin's threats, decides to burn the boat. As he sneaks out, Crom, who's awake and working nearby, spots him cornered. Crit breaks down and confesses everything, explaining that he's scared of going to prison. Crom stops him and promises they'll find another way to deal with it, preventing him from destroying the boat. Crit goes back to his room, overcome with guilt over Jack's death. Soon after, Jan, Jack's sister, enters his room, and while they're talking, she notices a strange medicine bottle beside his bed. Crit confesses everything again, saying her brother begged him to end his suffering. Jan collapses emotionally upon hearing this and rushes to tell the others, demanding that Crit be punished because they can't let a killer live among them. Most of the group disagrees, saying they can't turn on one of their own. Furious, Jan gives up her spot on the boat to someone else so they can help her lock Crit up. They eventually trap him and threaten to harm anyone who tries to help him escape. Back at the shore, Cram is working on the boat fixing the last parts when suddenly the island takes violently and that same eerie thunderous sound fills the air. Crom loses his balance, falls off the boat and loses consciousness. He dreams again of the mysterious woman holding a baby by the lake. As he tries to move closer to see her face, Nam wakes him up just before he can. She notices that every time Cram wakes up, the strange sound stops and she tells him that there must be something special about him, something tied to their destiny that they'll soon uncover. Back in the forest, we see Nat and Jan completely exhausted, deciding to rest for a while. But when they wake up the next morning, they're shocked. The place around them has changed completely. They find themselves on top of a massive rock inside a cave. Even more surprising, they spot Arisa nearby when they ask how she got there. She tells them she's been stuck there for 2 days since she last saw them. The two laugh, saying she's been gone for over 2 weeks, thinking she must be hallucinating or on something. But Arisa insists she hasn't eaten since she left them, and if 2 weeks had really passed she would be dead by now. Confused and unsettled, none of them can explain what's happening back at the camp. The week has passed since Crit's imprisonment. Cram tries to convince John to let him out, but she refuses. Nam grows suspicious of Lin's strange behavior, telling her she's changed and that their real teacher would never turn her back on a student in need. Meanwhile, Ice visits Ying to apologize for how he treated her last time. To make it up to her, he offers her his spot on the boat, knowing how much she misses her. Mother Yang is touched and accepts, thanking him. Later, Crown talks to Lin and asks why she doesn't want them to leave. Lin tells him that they can all go except him. She explains that the island is called Bantha, meaning the gate, and that he won't be able to leave until he finds the gate hidden somewhere on the island. Meanwhile, May is sitting in her room, completely broken. After discovering she's pregnant, she's terrified because she doesn't know who the father is. Ainan walks in and May tearfully tells him she's pregnant, but doesn't mention her relationship with Cram, afraid that Anon might hurt them both. Determined to take her with him, Anan starts offering a huge reward to anyone willing to give up their seat on the boat, promising to pay them when they return, but no one agrees. Back in the cave, Arisa hears a faint sound echoing from the distance and tells Nat and Jan they need to follow it. It might lead somewhere important. They walk deeper and deeper until they see a bright light ahead. As they step forward, they find themselves back at their high school graduation party, completely stunned and speechless. Everyone is there, laughing, celebrating, and greeting them warmly. The three wander around confused and amazed until suddenly all the people vanish. The music stops and silence fills the air. At the same time, Nam is asleep in her room and dreams of Lin handing her a glowing light. We learned that Nam has always had visions that come true. She once dreamt of her father's car accident the night before it happened. Realizing this dream is another warning. She senses Lin is trying to send her a message, and that message has something to do with Chrome. Meanwhile, May decides she can't hide the truth anymore and confesses to Anon about her relationship with Cram. Anon is devastated and furious, telling her he won't let anyone take her away from him. Driven by jealousy and fear of losing her, he decides to escape the island. With her that night, while everyone else is asleep, he ties Maya's hands and prepares the boat to sail away. Some of the students notice the noise and rush toward the dock, confronting him to calm them down. Anan shouts that anyone who helps him push the boat can come along, even if they weren't chosen in the lottery. They all jump aboard, and Anan starts the boat, sailing away as fast as he can. Tram wakes up, realizes what's happening, and sprints toward the shore to save May. Just as he gets close to the water, something inexplicable happens. Fiery orbs appear in the sky and begin hurling toward the boat, setting it ablaze in a storm of fire. May rushes the injured survivors to the clinic, desperately trying to save their lives. Meanwhile, deep inside the cave, the three students Continue exploring until Arisa finally locates the source of the strange sound. To her shock, she discovers a sick woman trapped inside, calling weakly for help. As Arisa approaches, she realizes it's Lynn, their teacher. Just as they reach her, the tunnel opens up to an exit and they find themselves back on the beach. They hurry to the others to get maybe help for Lynn's condition. But when they arrive, they're stunned to see another Lynn already there, sitting with the group. There are now 2 Lynns, and no one can tell which one is real. The first Lynn realizes what's happening and runs away. A few students chase her until Chrome finds her. She tells him that he's special. That's why he and his father survived the tsunami that should have killed them both. Cram tells her he doesn't remember anything from that day. The others catch up, thinking Crane was hiding her, and they start throwing stones at him. Suddenly, the same deafening sound echoes again, and Cram slips back into his vision. This time, he finally sees the woman holding the baby. She's his mother. He recognizes her face clearly before the noise stops and he regains consciousness. Lynn turns to him and says if he truly wants to know who he is, he must jump into the water with her. Cram hesitates for a moment, then dives in after her. The next morning, Cram wakes up to find himself captured and locked in a room with Crit. We learned that Anan has formed a gang with several students planning to kill the other Lynn, whom they blame for ruining all their escape plans. Meanwhile, Cramp's friends devise a plan to rescue him. They distract the guards watching the room, and once the coast is clear, Crumb and Crit manage to escape. Crumb runs off with May, trying to find a hiding place, but Anan catches them and aims to kill Cram in the chaos. May stabs Anan in the shoulder with a fishing spear and the 2 flee, but suddenly May vanishes. Trump turns around to find Lynn standing before him again, telling him to come with her into the cave so she can reveal the truth about his family. At the same time, Anan captures May and drags her in front of everyone, shouting that she's pregnant with his child. Meanwhile, Crom follows Lynn deep into the cave, where she explains that hidden gateways exist beneath the earth, scattered across the world, and connected to each other. She tells him that beneath this cave lies one of those gates. Crom takes the chance to ask her about the vision if the woman he saw carrying a baby was truly his mother, and if she really tried to end her life. Lynn tells him the truth. His mother didn't try to kill herself. She went into the lake carrying him to cross through the gate beneath the water, determined to uncover the truth. Cram dives into the lake to find the gate. The moment he enters, the ground trembles violently. Rocks collapse, sealing every exit, and Crom loses consciousness. When he wakes up, he's no longer in the present. He's reliving the day his mother carried him through the gate. He realizes this was the same day his adoptive father decided to take him in, and that his real father was there too. Giving the dagger to be passed to Cram when he grew up, Crum then wakes up again, this time back in the lake. He sees an opening ahead, swims toward it and emerges from the water, finding himself in a completely different place, far from the cave. Confused, he looks around and sees a sign that reads "You are now at the highest point in Thailand." Shocked and disoriented, Cram stumbles forward, and spots a mask lying on the ground with the word "Fool" written on it. Suddenly, a group of teenagers appears, walking toward him. To his astonishment, among them are Joey, his best friend who had died, and May, the girl he loved. Crum freezes, unable to understand what's happening, how Joey could still be alive, and whether everything that happened on the island was real or just a part of his mind. And with that mysterious cliffhanger, the story ends, leaving us waiting for Season 2 to uncover the truth behind The Stranded.